Hello viewers, this is Aanchal Poddar from Outlook Traveller, and today we're discussing a subject that has interested and excited me in equal parts. Have you ever thought about the oldest Christian community of India? Well, most of us would believe that Christianity arrived in the country with the Europeans. However, Christianity arrived in India in 52 CE when St. Thomas, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, arrived at the Malabar coast in present-day Kerala. And that gave birth to a community that we today call the Syrian Christians or the Nazranis. In today's episode, we will talk about the origin, the culture, and the everyday life of the Nazranis along with their eclectic cuisine. Why do I call it eclectic? Well, you shall know. And joining me in this conversation are two very special guests. Chef and author Ms. Premya Kurian, who's been very kind to host us at her residence in New Delhi, and academic, food historian and Padma Shri awardee Pushpesh Pant. Thank you so much, Mr. Pant and Ms. Kurian, for agreeing to be on Outlook Traveller. It's a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I would begin by asking you, Pushpesh ji, to tell us about the Syrian Christian community of Kerala. What is their origin?
Look, it's a very difficult question to answer. The Syrian Christian community, when you talk of Kerala, is not one homogeneous community. Within the Syrian Christian community, you would have the Syrian Orthodox people, you would have the Roman Catholics, you would have those who belong to Marthoma Church. So there are within the community differentiations.
There are subsects.
So you say that there's a broad set of Syrian Christians who have sects within themselves and slight variations in the food and customs. And again, when you say Syrian Christian community in these hard times, you are talking of a minority which is exotic, and you are exoticizing people who are very much Indians. Now, the moment you say Christians, you think in terms of Christian minority, Anglo-Indians and the rest. When you talk of this community, the Syrian community, the Syrian Christians, we forget that they are the earliest Christians in the world. They date back to the direct lineage of St. Thomas the Apostle, who came in 52, 58 AD, right after the birth of Christ to this continent. And they predate the Roman Catholic Church. They predate all other, even earlier Orthodox churches, the Greek and others. So they are very much Christians, yes, but Indians almost of the same early vintage. And as historically we are told, some of the earliest converts were those who were from the Nambudiri Brahmin clan. So the problem is that we tend to forget that these are people who are children of this soil, 2000 years old or even earlier, and they have retained in their identity.
So now touching upon the cuisine a little bit, it's considered to be a confluence of different kinds of cuisines. I mean, there's influences from the European or the Portuguese. So tell us about this nature of the cuisine as a confluence of various...
You know, this concept of slow cooking in our food is a very European kind of a thing, The use of vinegar is another one. And the stews, I mean, if you are European, you would use a cream or something of the sort I was talking about it. We use coconut milk, so things like that. But otherwise I'll tell you, when you say Syrian Christian cuisine, because we are children of the soil, like he said, a lot of our vegetarian thing is none of those influences.
Actually, if you look at it now, the moment you say Portuguese, when did the Portuguese come to India? They came in 1498. Vasco da Gama landed in Kozhikode, Calicut.
Yeah.
But that is just 500, 600 years back.
Yeah.
The community has been there for thousands of years. So it is not that they had no food before the Portuguese touched.
Exactly.
As she rightly points out, food changed a little. You introduced vinegar.
Yeah.
You did not want to have cream, so you had coconut cream and coconut milk. Stewing is the process which was not given to vegetables. You started doing that.
Yeah.
But the Europeans did not have the kind of spices. Their conquests of the Orient started because of the search of pepper and cinnamon and things of that kind. Kerala already had that. But surprisingly, the Kerala food, not only Syrian Christian, but all Kerala food, is not highly spicy, not pungent, not chili hot. What she was directing, a little bit of cardamom powder, freshly ground. Those are the nuances which the European cooking would never have.
Never have had. Because they had no access to spices till they came to.
And talking of influences, much earlier than the Europeans set foot on this soil, Arabs had been trading. And Arabs were trading with this part of the world before the advent of Islam. So pre-Muslim Arabs were coming here. Their port of Bujri had contacts with East Africa. Also, why forget the Chinese? The appam is cooked on a vessel called earthen vessel called China Chatti. So if you go to Kochi, I'm sure you have been there.
So it's called a Chini Chatti. Chini referring to Chini being Chinese.
I think the other interesting thing is the Dutch influence, because before the Portuguese came, it was a Dutch quarter as well, the Trancobar region. And in old Fort Cochin, old city, you still have a tradition of baking and cheeses and so on.
And we have a huge tradition of baking. In fact, you will agree, if you go to Kerala, every 1 kilometer there is a bakery.
Of course.
There is a bakery.
You know, appams are central to the Syrian Christian kitchen and the cuisine. What makes them so special?
And appam, arguably, as you would sample, is the most beautiful bread in the world.
And there are many kinds of appams, by the way. That's the other thing I have to tell you. You know, there's not just one. This is the most popular, the pal appam or the lace appams, as they call. But there are appams that look like little cakes, you know, with the little sultana in it. You know, have you ever tried it?
Yes, I have had
It's
one.
great with savory meats. And
एक वो religious festivity में बनाते हैं ना for that Hosanna or no?
yeah, Pesach, Lent.
Lent is it's made with the sign of a cross and you crack it down and it was brilliant.
It's called Pesach appam.
It's Pesar appam. So we
Pesach referring to the Passover. You know, Pesach, Passover, yeah.
So there are appams and appams. And there's that nira appam made with toddy water.
Yeah.
That again is slightly fermented water. So you have great. But for me, the commoner appam is one of the things of beauty, a joy forever.
Which you'll be having for lunch.
You have beautiful lace work, then you have a spongy middle. It's a two-in-one thing that you hardly feel like destroying the periphery where the delicate lace work is there.
Yeah.
But the sponginess in the center can soak up the gravy better than anything else.
I think you would be upset when I ask this question, but if there is a dish that really stands as a testament to this confluence, what would it be?
I would say for me it would be a succulent beef, now buff roast, paired with any kind of a bread. I also think that I would be very happy with the biryani, which she cooks absolutely out of this world, which is a very different biryani than what we are made to. We have been persuaded to accept as a biryani, layered biryani, Hyderabadi, dam ki kachi, etc. But I think the biryani, the Mopla biryani, which is spicier, more robust, has layers of fried onions.
You know, that is the interesting thing about the Kerala Mopla style biryani. It has all the spices in the world. But it's so subtle and so layered. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, once I sat and counted how many spices have I put into this biryani. I counted almost 18, 20 spices.
And they have to be in a ratio which is perfectly harmonious.
Yeah.
So they should work in tandem. It's like musical notes. You can have discordant notes, but they don't lead to melody.
After we spoke so much about the cuisine, its influences, ingredients, and most importantly, flavors, the Outlook Traveller team couldn't help but request Miss Kurian to prepare something for us. A fish moili and puttu were her choices. We stepped into her kitchen and took a closer look at how the dishes came together.
Also, so how does a Christmas spread really look like for you?
Feast, which is usually lunch, never dinner, is initially there would be a duck roast. That was mandatory. You know, my God, it was a big event. And pork is definitely there. And there are appams, there is this fish moini, is definitely there, it comes for the breakfast. So in Kerala, that's another interesting thing. And especially now, we can start the day for fish for breakfast. You know, so I remember in this thing called putta, you serve fish with it. you know. So roasts, appams, stews, fish mollies.
It would be an extended brunch kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know.
extended, you know.
The Christmas brunch would be a spread, but she's making a very interesting point that it was mostly home cooked.
Oh yeah, always
And you
home
had
cooked.
small family heirloom recipes.
Yeah.
कि आपके घर का, I still remember eating a meal with Dominic brothers, who are the casino hotel people.
Yeah.
The grandfather was around there, and they would, there was another question you had: how did they eat? They ate like anybody else. They sat cross-legged on the floor. There was a spread on a Kerala ka banana ka patta, and everything cooked came, and the roast came, the whole roast leg of lamb with mint sauce. It was very different from Ran, Musallam, Sikandari, Jahangiri, etc. Drowned in gravies and masalas. You could taste the meat. See, the problem is not only, as Prema said, is not only people have forgotten to cook.
Yeah.
The greater tragedy is that people have forgotten to eat well. They don't remember.
They've lost the palate. Their palates are completely compromised. It's amazing. It's so sad to see.
Thank you so much for your time. This was a very wonderful conversation.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Thank you, Aanchal.
Thank you.